And I just wanted to start with an investigation. This still was an experiment, I guess, which was across the street. But these are some of the first ideas we had for Freedom Tower early on in the process. So after Liebeskin's master plan was accepted, we began looking at what it meant to build a tower on the site that he designated for the tall tower. And actually worked on this with Guy Nordenson, structural engineer, and Guy Battle, environmental engineer, with the idea that you would actually create a skyscraper that integrated and expressed its structure and its and sort of its environmental strategy. And we were working very hard to make this building represent the input of the engineers as well as a form that worked for the architecture. One of the challenges of doing this building was that based on Larry Silverstein's program, the program of the building really was going to stop at about 80 stories. A lot of issues about occupying space up above there. There were 2 observation decks that were showing, one at the height of the original Trade Center and one at Daniel Liebeskin's height of 1,776 feet. The top of the structure actually went all the way up to 2,000 feet, and at this time we were talking with the broadcasters who wanted to put broadcast antennas all the way up to 2,000 feet. But the structural challenge was actually trying to create a building that read as one thing all the way up. So we were trying to extend this diagonalized structure all the way up to the top of these antennas, so it felt like one element and not just a glass that was partly full. Now, as we began to study the site, we realized that one of the things that was inherent in Liebeskin's master plan was sort of acknowledging the streets that once cut through the site and now are once again going to cut through the site. And so we started to let that geometry define the way the building was working at its base. And here you can see the lower floor plans, which was a parallelogram that followed. Actually, this is the street grid, the original street grid, which echoed what was originally the coastline of Manhattan. And we got the floors. And one of the challenges of doing these large buildings such as this is that you have an enormous elevator core, which you can see down here on the lower floors. But those elevators drop off as you move up the building. So the challenge is to get the building shape to change so that you don't end up with very deep floors up near the top of the building. So we got the shape of the footprint to warp back so that there was still a fairly tight leaf span, which is the distance from the glass to the core, around the core, which was gradually getting smaller. And ultimately, at the top, we integrated a wind farm, which I'll show you in the model. Now, what is very interesting about this shape and the particular orientation on the site, working with Guy Battle, is that down here, anybody who knows who spends a lot of time downtown, it's very windy. And one of the challenges for the building is actually to get it to perform well in the wind, because the biggest load that you need to resist with the structure is wind load. The way this building works, it presents a sharp corner here. The predominant winds are coming from the northwest, sort of right at this corner. So we create a sharp corner that cuts the wind almost like the bow of a ship. But as the tower angles back, it starts to present a flat face to the wind. And in this case, this was an advantage to us because we were trying to catch the wind with the wind farm. So this shape warps back. It's partly to respond to the grid of Manhattan, but it's also partly to catch the wind at the top of the building and cut the wind down low. And we found that this had a huge structural benefit, cutting the wind down below and twisting it to catch the wind allowed you to take advantage of these winds that are very high at that elevation. So just above where we are right now, you get a very steady stream of wind almost year-round here in downtown Manhattan. So this is the shape of the tower, which looks like it's twisting. It's not actually twisting. It's sort of warping back, which is oriented towards West Street here, but then rotates back actually onto the grid of the rest of Manhattan and then extends on up. And this is an image of the wind farm that we had imagined integrating into the top of the tower. Obviously, it's not happening, but it was a great experiment. It was a great exercise in trying to understand, can you create an architecture that fits and is very unique to a place by virtue of the way its technology is integrated.